friends. Today's video is all about your thoracic spine, which is your mid-back and upper back a little bit. So this is a part of our spine that really is affected by all of our hunching over, and it directly translates down into our lower back as well. So I think it's part of our back that we ignore a lot, and you'll start to realize, okay, there's a lot of turning and reaching and twisting that's involved. That is mobility you do not want to lose over time as you're gracefully making your way into old age. So we are going to address that today in a couple of stretches that should feel really good and kind of help you assess your mobility and increase it. So we're going to start by either rolling up your mat, which you can do like this. Now I have a nice thick mat, so you may want to roll up yours more substantially than mine, or if you have a nice thick mat, that's great too. The other thing that you can do is use a foam roller or something like this. Now this is going to be a much bigger bump for you to lay over, so you either want to have better mobility before you do that, or have a high tolerance for a sensation. Okay, so regardless of what you're using, we're going to put our bump right here, and we're going to lay back so it hits us right about at the brow line. Okay, a little bit below your armpits, starting to be about the top of the ribs. Okay, so we're going to lay back and kind of adjust until you're right set up there, and let your arms come up like a cactus. Okay, if you can't see my arms, it's not that important. They're in a goalpost or cactus shape, and they don't have to be. That's the most comfortable for my shoulders, and it actually gives us a little bit of a shoulder stretch as well. Another way that you can do this exercise, I like to do it sometimes right when I wake up, which is a time when my back feels the most stiff and the least cooperative, is you can do this hanging over the edge of your bed. So if you lay on your bed and put the actual edge this side, right where this bump is, right at the brow line, top of the ribs, in that case, you would lace your fingers underneath your head, kind of like you're going to do sit-ups. I call them cool boy elbows. So as a teacher, kids would kick back in the library like this, right? Okay? And kind of hang off the edge of your bed. And you'll need to use your legs to keep yourself from tumbling off of your bed. You may find it's a little bit intense for the low back, so I keep my knees bent, although you're more steady from falling off the bed with extended legs. So regardless, this is just a little extra stretch, the opposite direction of how we actually sit with our poor posture, right? So we're bringing our spine into a counter stretch here. If you visit a chiropractor, this might also be something you experience there. My chiropractor always sits me up and puts like a cylindrical pillow on the table and lays me back down. So it's the same kind of situation. Okay? And you can stay here for as long as you like, but I'll move on to showing you the next tip that I have here. So we're going to gently roll over to one side, and from there you can unroll your mat, because you'll want to actually use the full length of it. Okay? You're going to lay so that you have 90-degree knees, 90-degree hips, and 90-degree arms. Tuck your bottom shoulder under so your head can lay on the floor. Good. Okay, so you should be all 90-degree angles here. Hands are out in front like a seal or a circus monkey. Okay, so take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, sweep that arm all the way open. Now I'm hitting the wall, but you're going to go all the way as far as you can to touch the floor. Good. Good. Take a nice deep breath in here. Exhale, close that book. So it's going to be inhale, open. Exhale, close. Good. You want to do about 10 of these at a time. A lot of times when we take our twists, laying down, right, we lay on our back, we hug our knees into our chest, drop our knees over to one side. So remember, I'm doing this incorrectly because of the wall. You want to go all the way to the ground with a straight arm. So when we do those kind of twists that I was just describing, a lot of times that twist is occurring in our low back, right? Our upper back stays steady. This is really moving the twist into the upper half of the spine. Okay, so assume that was 10-ish, and you can again do however many you want. I usually do about 10 at a time. We're gonna flip over onto our other side. Same thing. Arms are in a nice open book. 90-degree everything. So you're gonna inhale, open. Now my arm looks correct. Exhale, closed. They don't look correct in front of me where I'm at the wall. Okay, and if you have limited mobility or tight shoulders as well, then you may not be hitting the floor here, and that's okay. If this is tweaking your lower back, see how I just adjusted my legs? They weren't 90 degrees enough. So now that I've made that adjustment, it's not tweaky for me. Okay, and we'll talk about lower back in a different video. So 10 here as well. Moving with the breath. Inhale, open. Exhale, closed. Okay. Lost count. 10 on each side. And then we're going to roll ourselves right up to seated. So you can either gently push up from one side, or you can rock yourself right up to seated. I like to grab a blanket anytime I'm in a seated pose. Gives me that extra pelvic tilt, which helps my posture, protects upper and lower back. All right, so find your comfy seat. Make sure you're sitting on the edge of your sit bones. Nice pelvic tilt, sit up nice and tall, shoulders roll up, back, and down. Okay, letting arms come open to the sides. We'll inhale up overhead, then exhale, part, twist to the right. Inhale up tall. Exhale, twist a little further. Good. Inhale, center. Exhale, part the air, twist the other way. Inhale up. Exhale, twist. Inhale up. Exhale, twist. So you can either inhale up, exhale, twist more quickly. Okay. Quick is not always effective though, so make sure you stop and check in and notice whether or not you're actually getting the twist in your back. Or you can take it nice and slow by going up, open, inhale up tall, exhale, twist deeper. Okay? Speed is not going to help you here. Now, if you have increased mobility and you have full, deep yogic breaths, you could certainly take it one breath at a time. Okay? But making sure you're getting fully into that twist. This time we'll inhale back to center. Drop the right hand to the mat, reach that left arm up overhead. So pressing through the right arm, I've locked out my right elbow, something we rarely do. And then reach, 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 reach. Good, inhale up, over to the other side. Breathing here. All right, now we're gonna get into some real rotation through that thoracic spine, moving down into tabletop, followed by child's pose, and then some work at the wall. All right, so lining up, knees stacked under hips, okay? Getting that correct hip and pelvis alignment, wrists under elbows, under shoulders, okay? First thing I want you to do is take the shoelaces of your feet, press them down into the mat. Pull your hip points together, pull your shoulder blades down your back. Beautiful. All right, bring your left hand up behind your head for a cool boy elbow. And then you could do this and droop the elbow, but I need you to bring it all the way out to the side. So you're working on purposely keeping this arm open. Good. So inhale, look up to the ceiling as high as you can. Pull the elbow up as high as you can. Exhale, twist, touch the floor. Good. Inhale up. Exhale, touch the floor. We'll do about 5 of these. Inhaling open. Exhaling down. Inhale up. Exhale, touch down. Good. Plant that hand. And we'll switch sides. Do you ever put a new shirt on and then you're like, why did I do this to film a video? Okay. reset. Press through the hands, shoelaces press into the mat. Pull hip points together, shoulder blades down the back. Right hand comes up, cool boy elbow. Inhale to the sky. Exhale, touch down. Inhale up. Exhale, touch down. That's 2. Four. One more. Good. Plant that hand again. And we'll move into threading the needle. So this is also a shoulder exercise. Obviously, they're closely connected. So you've done this before for sure. Planting that right hand again. Left arm sweeps up into the air and then threads through underneath the right arm. So I'm setting the back of my left hand, my elbow, my shoulder, my face on the floor. So you can stay right here. If your feet are popping up like this, take the shoelaces of your feet, press them back down into the mat. If it's too much pressure in your head and neck, that's what your right hand is for. If this is a piece of cake, you can take the right hand and wrap it around the back. So you can see where I'm twisting through the middle of my back here. Now maybe the twist is only in the shoulder, and you want to pull it through a little bit more. And this again depends on the level of mobility you're currently working with. You can stay here for much longer, but I'm going to move on. Inhale, arm all the way up into the air, plant the hand. Switching sides, inhale, right arm up. Thread it through, back of the hand, elbow, shoulder, face comes to the floor. Taking these feet, pressing the shoelaces into the mat. Good. Now again, you can scoot that hand forward for a little deeper rotation. If you have the shoulder and neck flexibility, you can wrap this arm around behind. Not required. Breathing here. You can stay for a lot longer. When you're ready to exit, plant the hand. Inhale all the way up to the sky. Set that hand back down. All right, pressing back now into your child's pose. And we're going to do several of the motions that we just did, but moving it into child's pose. And what this is going to do is isolate the pelvis and the hips a little more so that our movement truly has to come from the upper back. Okay? So, normally in child's pose, our whole torso is down. Right now, I just need you to be pressed back through the hips, and then you can come up on the hands a little bit. Okay? It's a little bit half tabletop, half child's pose. So we're going to do the same thing here with the cool boy elbows. Left hand up, inhale up. Exhale, touch down. Good. Inhale up. Exhale, touch down. We'll do 5. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. Switching hands. Right hand comes behind the head. Inhale up to the sky. Exhale, touch down. 2. If this is bothering your feet, you can always put them up like this. More effective in this particular case to have them down. 3. Inhale up. Touch down. Last one. Beautiful. Planting both hands now on the floor. We're going to take a cat-cow. And it's going to feel very different for you than a normal cat-cow. Normal cat-cow uses the full extent of the spine, and you feel it primarily in the lower back. This is moving it into your upper and middle spine. This is a thoracic cat-cow. So keeping the child's pose legs and hips. Inhale. Drop the belly, the heart. Pull that heart forward through the pillars of the arms. Here's my cow. Exhale, arch the back. Collapse the chin to the chest. Cat. Good. Inhale, cow. So you'll feel this in your middle back intensely, immediately, and be like, wow, what on earth is happening here? These are muscles that we overuse in our lives, but they're not muscles that we typically purposely take care of, which obviously should change. Good, a couple more. Inhale forward, heart through the pillar of the arms, gaze ahead. Exhale, arching the back, chin to chest. One more set. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Good, and then we're going to attempt to thread the needle here as well. Again, really isolating the upper back. So inhale up, threading through underneath as best you can. Now, it looks like I struggle to do this pose, and I do, but it's a shoulder issue as opposed to a thoracic spine issue, which is entirely possibly something that you could be experiencing as well. So you know how thread the needle works. We just did it. We'll try it again on the other side. Just as before, you can stay here for much longer, but I don't want to just make you look at a video of me awkwardly attempting to talk you through something. Breathing here. You might feel like a delicious pull in the shoulder blades, which is perfect. Good, so pressing through the right hand, inhale, left arm up to the sky. So both of those thread the needles in tabletop and in child's pose are things that you can do for much longer when you work on this on your own. All right, we're setting up now for something called 90-90. So you're gonna be sitting on your bottom and then bringing your legs into 90-degree angles. So my front leg, shins parallel to the top of the mat, thighs parallel to the side of the mat. Okay, reverse in my back leg. So you might already feel like, wow, I'm gonna topple over. So this is a little bit of hip mobility as well. Okay, but then you can inhale, twist to one side, exhale, twist to the other. And you can see where the twist has to come more from your upper back than it does from your lower back. And that's all we're doing here. There are so many things we can do in a 90-90 position. You'll encounter a lot of those in my hip and hamstring classes. Here, it's just about that upper back mobility. And then we can carefully switch sides. So you're gonna lean back, flip the legs, finding 90-90, and then inhale, twist to one side, exhale, twist the other way. So again, if you're encountering some hip mobility issues, no problem, do what you can. Good, a couple more. Okay, coming back now onto your knees. We're gonna actually sit up on your knees and do some diagonal arm swings here. Okay? Might sound a little bit interesting, and they are. Okay? So we're sitting up, sitting on our heels. Here's what they look like. Diagonal arm swings. Okay? Piece of cake. Here's the thing. If when you swing open, got a real arch of the back. Your lower back is arched, your ribs are flared outward. That's not what we want that to look like. So, in order to protect that core, protect the back, target the area we actually want to target, take these hip points, pull them together, activating that core, and then imagine pulling your ribs in towards your spine. So inhale, open. Now you can hopefully see that I opened with control. So I'm feeling this sort of pinch between my shoulder blades, and it's different from the move where we do this, which is shoulder blade specific. By having the one arm up, it changes it to move more into the spine. My thumbs are leading the way, okay? Checking hip points, checking ribs. So this is what I want it to look like. Without control, it would look like that. So hopefully you can see a big difference there. It's really just arms that are moving. So my thumbs are coming in and going out, okay? And the whole time you wanna check in with those hip points, keep those ribs pulled into the spine. So you can do as many of these as you want, moving at your own pace, for your own length of time. Focus on pulling in the hip points, pulling in the ribs. That's how you're gonna target that mid-back. All right, these next two things are my favorite. We're coming up to the wall. So I'm getting rid of my blanket, okay? I'm gonna come over to the wall and get into sort of a high lunge. I know you can't see the top of my head, that'll be fine. I'm gonna bring my wall leg forward, okay? So I'm in a high lunge here. My right hip is a couple inches away from the wall, as is the whole outside of my right leg. What I need is enough room to swing my arm without slamming into the wall. Okay? Back leg is there for support. You might want to squeeze that butt cheek, which will help tilt the pelvis correctly. Okay? So you're going to take the wall arm, the inside arm. Palm of the hand is facing out, back of the hand touching the wall or facing the wall. Okay? Sweep that arm all the way up overhead. At this point, the palm is going to flip to face the wall, and your arm is going to continue all the way around, and let your torso follow it. Full rotation all the way down, and then by the time you get back down to your hip, your palm is facing you again. So here's the real trick. Can you do it without touching the wall? This is fun to do with my private clients. A lot of them are like, whoa, I'm stroking the wall. Okay, so you want to leave enough space, but you also don't want to be so far away that it's not that hard, right? So all the way up, rotate the hand, all the way down. You can do several of these, and these are going to be so effective for unlocking that twist in the upper back, okay? And you can do the same thing on both sides. Now, something you're going to encounter is that one side will be much easier than the other. Super normal, okay? I'd be worried if they felt equally good or equally hard, because you write with one hand, you carry your bags on one arm, you drive with one leg, etc. Okay? If you run into the wall, it's not a big deal. But keeping that front knee stacked over the ankle, back leg for support, squeeze that butt cheek, palm faces you, rotate all the way up, palm flips to the wall, and then torso follows all the way around. So these are windmills or standing thoracic rotation. Okay? Beautiful. All right, so for this last move, I gotta move my camera real quick. Okay, last move for our thoracic rotation here. Okay, we're coming over to the wall, and what we're gonna do is just try to get a bend in the upper spine. Now, you're not trying to bend in the lower back. You're avoiding this kind of back bend. Okay, so you wanna keep the pelvis steady, hip points pulled together. I'm gonna take my feet a little wider than hip distance apart, bringing my hands to the wall. What I really wanna do is keep my feet and ankles and knees stacked under the hips, so I'm not thrusting the booty backwards. Okay, and you're just letting your chest melt towards the wall here. Okay, so one way that I can help my lower back is by bending my knees to get that tilt there. And I'm just letting my heart try to approach the wall. So the more you feel it in your lower back, you might need to back off a little bit or add that bend to the knees, pull the hip points together, right? Now, if this is too much in the shoulders, you may want to skip this move until you've opened up those shoulders a little bit more. Just gently rise up. And you can see my shoulder mobility video to take care of that, okay? So again, you're just standing facing the wall, hips are stacked right above knees and ankles, hands are on the wall, letting that heart just melt towards the wall, trying to get that bend in the upper back as opposed to the lower back. So for me, that does require a nice bend in the knees, pulling my hip points together. I have to, on purpose, not include the low back. And then rise up nice and slow. And it might be a really intense feeling, and that's okay, but know your limits and back off if you need to. Okay? So everything we did today is addressing your thoracic spine, mid-back, and we'll talk about low back in a different video. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Namaste.